Darling, you've been hardened from a very long road. I can hear you say we're in a place we're gonna let go. Wherever you are, no matter how dark, I wanna be. Wherever you are, no matter how far.
Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today's review is on the Darkside by Haydenshapes. Now I remember sending an email to the folks at Haydenshapes asking them if they'd like to partner with us, maybe send a couple boards in for review, and to my surprise, I get a phone call from Hayden Cox on a Sunday afternoon. We had a great time. We talked for about an hour. We talked about surfboards, fins, constructions. We had a great time. And he came up with, let me send you a couple different boards. We'll do the Darkside, which is the same board Dane used in the Stab in the Dark project, and I thought that board looks sick under his feet. I would love to try that. So I ordered it, 2 boards, same dimensions. We've got it in the PE, which is the polyurethane foam with an epoxy resin, and I have it in the Future Flex, which is a stringerless EPS core with an epoxy resin. So I'm excited. Sit back and enjoy the show. So let's talk about the rocker. It's got a low to medium entry rocker, and then it's got continuous rocker through this area here, and then we've got an aggressive tail rocker. Now, with the low to medium entry, that's gonna give us great speed down the line, and it's also gonna help me in my paddling, which is huge on a performance board. The continuous curve coupled with the aggressive tail rocker, that's gonna make for progressive surfing in the pocket, so I'm gonna have great traction off the bottom and nice tight turns in the pocket, and it felt great. But as we talk about down the line speed, we have to have a look at the concaves. And it's running a pretty aggressive single to a double through the fins here, and it was very little to no V that I noticed at all, but the transition, that double concave is gonna loosen it up, and the transition from rail to rail felt great. Now, as I talk about riding performance boards, I don't usually grab one until it's like 3 to 4 feet and bigger. And what I'm noticing is in the Future Flex or some of these other constructions that are EPS and the board's super lively, I can ride that 2 to 3 foot surf, get the progressive surfing that I want to do on these type of constructions because it's giving me that extra speed and pop in and out of turns. So now I want to talk about the PE construction. The polyurethane foam is something I'm very familiar with. When I'm headed down the line and I'm gaining speed, it's consistent, it's solid on the rail, and it's predictable. And that's how it felt under my feet. Now, what I'm not familiar with is putting an epoxy resin on a PU foam. And what are the benefits that they say I'll get out of that? Well, first, they say it has a more lively flex characteristic, and it'll last longer over the duration lifespan of the board, number one. Number two, it's super bright white, and I love a white board. So now I want to talk about this Future Flex construction, starting with what they're calling a parabolic carbon fiber frame. Surfboards today, they're using carbon fiber to control and manipulate flex. And what they've done by doing it out here on the rail, it's like adding a stringer out here. And I'll explain how. If I'm going down the line and I'm creating all this speed and I'm gonna hit a turn and I begin to put the rail in the water, well, as this rail's engaged in the water, it's beginning to flex. As it's flexing, it's loading like this, and then it begins to unload and slingshot me into the next turn. Well, this carbon fiber is, by putting this here, what it does is it wants to take its normal shape back quickly. And that's exactly how it felt under my feet. It seemed like when I put it on rail, I was getting speed here, and then to the next one, it was loading and unloading. It was like the fastest reaction or response time I've ever felt under my feet. So now I want to talk about flex on this board. They're doing something called quad axial laminating. And I'll explain. They're laying fiberglass in 0 degrees, 90 degrees, and 45 degrees. And what that's doing is that's controlling torsion flex. So as they stiffen this up, what's happening, I mentioned earlier, is that this carbon fiber parabolic rail is unidirectional, meaning it flex one way. So when they tighten this up, it allows these rails to work for you. Remember earlier I was talking about getting down the line with a lot of speed, putting that rail in the water, and this part that's engaged flexing and springing you in and out of that turn into the next turn? Well, let's look at this board. The PU has the stringer in the middle, right? And as I'm going down the line from nose to tail, my energy, this stringer is working for me. But when I get on the rail, I get all my speed and I engage this rail on the bottom turn, what's happening is this is not in the water, only this is. So the only thing that's supporting me, basically holding me in on this turn, is the foam, the fiberglass, and the resin, right? So that is flexing, and it's a bit delayed in the response time from in this turn, flexing out of this turn into the next one, compared to the Future Flex rail here. That's giving me that quick response time. And that's how it felt under my feet. It felt super lively because of the EPS core, but then you take this rail and it's working for me. As I'm pushing, I feel like it's loading, and then I can hold it for as long as I want, and then when I come out, it slingshots me into the next turn. So now I want to talk about the fins that I chose. I picked a fin that I know and that I like. I chose the large Dane Reynolds by Captain Fin because it has a good amount of sweep or rake, which suits my surfing style, and it also has a medium flex pattern. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to just really focus on what the two constructions felt like under my feet, and these fins are going to give me that consistency and suits my style. Now another fin I tried is the HS1 size large generation fin by Futures, because I was talking with Hayden Cox and he recommended this fin because it's a bit more upright and it's also a speed generating fin. It comes in at an 8.4 on the ride number as opposed to a 5 in the honeycomb. It also has the V2 foil on the inside, which is going to also create more drive as opposed to a flat foil. Now, this 8.4 on the ride number means the fin is going to flex a little bit more and it's going to spring me in and out of turns. Now, it worked great on both boards, but it caught me by surprise. It was like that little extra speed, even on the Future Flex. When the waves got small, I felt like I was getting faster in and out of turns, and I could also pivot tighter in the pocket. So the last thing I want to mention is I rode both these boards a ton. Minimal pressure dents on the deck, so great durability. I enjoyed surfing these so much, they are definitely in my favorites for 2017. So special shout out thanks to Haydenshapes and Hayden Cox. Glad you guys are aboard. And if you like the show, subscribe. You can also find us at surfinshow.com. That's it for today. Take care. Bye-bye.
It's too easy to fall back an old way.